Hi, I'm Adolophine Sheeley. I am owner and president of Adolophine Designs and also the foundation Les Amis de Moulin and Georgette.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys get your notes. There'll be notes in the description, but also get your wallet, get your pocketbook, because we have the queen of African fashion, Queen Adolophine, is going to give us the game on the fashion, the art, and what she's doing. And I say that because her stuff, there's certain pieces that I have, and I say, when I see it, I say, I want that. And then I show it to my wife, so I make sure before I get it that she'll wear it, right? But Adolophine, welcome to the show. I love your website. What's going on with you, madame?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. First of all, thank you for having me. It's so kind of you to invite me. So much is going on. It's the summer, but unfortunately for some of us, the summer means work, work, work. You don't get the time off. So just kind of rebranding, figuring out new products, starting up a fundraiser for a health clinic in a small village in the Congo. So super, super busy.
Well, let's start from the beginning, because people will, they'll go and they'll read and they'll Google notes. And the whole point of the show is to give people the game. Now, you are, more than gifted, skilled, and privileged. People will say, oh, well, of course she has that, know who her parents are, and she speaks 6 languages. But I want you to talk about creating this business. And was, let's say, because you might be in New York right now, I'm sure $1 million wasn't just given to you to start this business, and that it had to start, from just your idea and then putting it pieces and building your team. Can you tell people how you made the dream happen? Because so often people just think, oh, of course, she or he is special, and I could never do that like them.
Yeah, so that's the facade everybody sees. Oh, diplomat's kid, probably world traveled. She's a princess, this and that. I've had it really tough. So when you have a lot, and then my dad passed away, my mom passed away. So I was orphaned in America, no papers. And I had to put myself through university. I had to work really, really hard. There is the language barrier also. You can't tell now, but there is a language barrier. There's immigration status, speaking of Interpol, you don't want to get deported. And you really have to maximize the amount of time. And at one point go from surviving, right? Just working to make money to be able to take care of yourself and other people that you're responsible for as a proper African daughter, to just living and thriving and doing what's important. And so I've always wanted to do something more creative, more fashion-based, and get out of finance. And I had to work my real job and invest and put money aside to meet my dreams. And I didn't get to do this till my 40s. So I know everybody kind of sees like the pretty stuff. Oh, she has this. And you really had to put the time in and invest and have a plan and strategy and just go for it. And the older you get, the harder it is, but you're also smarter and you have a nest egg to be able to take these chances. So that's really what happened.
And majority of the audience right now are listeners, but for those who are looking, and if you're listening, go over and look on YouTube or whatever platform, because you said the 40s and people will be doing like this, because the black don't crack if you don't smoke it. But let's talk real quick about, I don't want to say a fall from grace, but many people who their parents were, big players out of the country, and one thing can happen, regime change can happen. We're waiting for it in Cameroon to happen. And how was that having, the diplomat parents? And then, okay, father passes, and what happens? Does everyone kind of turn their back? Was it like, where's our cut? I mean, give us that kind of transition.
So when you're on the top, everybody loves you. Everybody it's always like, oh, monsieur, papa, and then when the big guy's gone, And this all happened after the Rwandan genocide and everything in the Congo. Um, and when he passed away, no one's there. It's literally crickets. And then you find out that people are trying to sell your properties back home. They're taking all the jewelry. They're having parties, you know, and they feel entitled to maintain this certain lifestyle that was given to them by your father. But yeah, you're here with nothing, struggling, and they have everything back home, and they're just pillaging it and selling it and not looking at the long term, right? So plus 25 years later, and now when I go home and there's nothing, and they're like, hey, Ado, we are your family. I'm like, dude, you had 7 houses. You sold it. You could have kept 2, rented the other 5, and now you're here bothering me. So it is a fall from grace for everybody. And you can either cry about it and just remember the good old days, right? But you know, when you're 17, your good old days are ahead of you. Or you can try and have some grit and hustle and find different ways to get back to something similar and more comfortable. And that's really hard because, you know, in the tabloid culture, everybody likes a fall from grace. Everyone likes to say, oh, she used to be this or they used to be that. Look at them now. And so it's the best redemption to be able to come from the ashes and fly back and not only do it for yourself, but do it for your community and help other people that didn't have that experience that you did.
I love it. I love it. When my mother passed, I, you know, at funerals, you can see who's trying to get what and who's trying to get close because she, you know, she was very, had many of things that people wanted. And you say, and you know, I totally understand that. And for anybody who's struggling with that, you know, when Ado writes her book on this, make sure you pre-order it because that in itself is a whole book. Besides everything else that you've done that we're going to get into, that is something that I think many people need to prepare. If you have any words of wisdom in that case, because most people won't talk about these things, would you say that there's anything right now that people should be doing so that their children can not go through what you went through?
Yeah, so I take it, it's the parents' responsibility to not expect their brothers and sisters who are mushing off of them and not really do anything in their lives. Usually there's one person that makes it out of the village, right? And has to take care of everybody. So think about it. When you're gone, what are they going to do to your kids? And what's your kids' experience afterwards? And the best thing you can do is set things aside for your kids and set 1 or 2 things aside for your family. And that's it. That way there's no fighting. That way you don't have to go see like the tribal chief. That way you don't have to go to court. That way you don't have to fight in probate court. It just minimizes a lot of the drama and it gives it a higher chance of the family unit to stick together. Because when there's so many hands in the pot, they're all going to just fight for it because they feel entitled and they don't have a plan B. So set things up properly so that your kids, you know, like I had to be the executor of the estate, and the amount of vitriol I got for trying to protect my siblings and everyone else was just, it was just terrible. So do that and try and keep it clean. It'll never be perfect, but set things aside.
I totally agree. Whether you're in this country or another country, one of my African family members, one time, an elder, he told me, a man never knows how many children he has until he passes. And I've heard that so many times. And I say, and that's the other part that people, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Getting siblings rolling up. Hey, sister. You're like, what? Where'd you come from?
and it's a global thing for our communities. If you Black, go on African Ancestry or go on Ancestry.com, find out how many other, you know, siblings you have out there.
You're gonna have 35 siblings all over the world.
and those are things the elders won't talk about at all, for the most part. But that with that, you know, your jewelry, let's get into the jewelry because, you know, people will go on the website, links are in the description. You have beautiful jewelry. Is all of this coming from Africa? And I see some unisex pieces on there, but is it mainly for women? Because I don't want to send somebody somewhere and they say, Kellen told me this was for men, and they're wearing a woman's chain.
So it's for both, but our men's stuff sells so much faster than our women's stuff. So we have bracelets, we have some necklaces. We're working on some cufflinks, but this stuff is handmade and it's made in Africa. We don't take the materials like other jewelry company and send it to Europe or China to get worked. We do it there. We teach the artisans how to make it better. We do the designs in-house. So it takes a little bit longer to get new products in because we have to do samples and make sure that it doesn't fall apart on us quickly. So it's unisex. Everything is sourced in Africa. We have our new collection called Congo with Love. The malachite comes from the DRC. The gold comes from DRC. The diamond comes from DRC. So everything, I can tell you which mine, who grabs it for me, how it's cleaned. It's really ethically sourced. You know how like people like say ethically sourced, and yet they're like helping rebels continue to kill people in Eastern Congo. But we actually know who the artisanal miners are and how to get it and how to do it the right way. We have permission from the government to get it out of the country. So we do things by the book. Same things with our beaded stuff. Kenya, we source everything on the continent.
Okay, so and I was going to ask you about the Maasai. Were you getting it from Kenya or Tanzania, or how that was? So you already answered that. And tell people, are you the lead designer? Are you designing every piece, or is it a team effort? And how does that work? If somebody says, I want to join the team, I'm a designer, I've been looking for an outlet.
So Tsunami, my creative director, is the lead designer. We tend to take more traditional cultural items and we slightly remix it, right? So right now we have this Cuba chief hat. You'll see something like this at the museum, like at the tape, and it has like the bottom, right? So we're thinking about making a choker with cowries. You see how the middle of the headpiece, if you make this into, like Princess Diana used to wear that blue sapphire choker with the pearls.
Yeah.
So you do this with the white cowrie, right? And then maybe add 1 or 2 pieces of diamond from my village. How sick would that be? So we'll take traditional items and play around with it, deconstruct it, and turn it into like whole pieces. Sometimes it's the artisans themselves. They want to challenge themselves. And they'll say, hey, I want to play with the malachite and make it thinner. What do you think if I made the earrings this way and flatten it? So we'll work on that for a few months. And then after we see how the grooves and the colors of the malachite works, we'll create a design or a piece for it. So it's a collaborative effort. But if you're interested in design and you want to learn more, Tsunami, she's from Benin. She's my creative director. She's the one, to talk to.
I didn't see that chief hat on the website. I'm trying to get it before Freedom Jacob Caesar grabs it.
This will be a special order for you if you want. It's pretty intricate. It's all handmade, and it's real beads. You know how now there's like factory beads, and everybody's like, "Oh, I have a cowrie necklace." I'm like, "That's not cowrie." And cowrie was the original currency in Africa. This is how you paid for things. That's how you showed you were rich. Cowrie and gold. So this is a rich person hat. This is a money hat.
And before they DM and say, hey, I want that hat, let's talk about ranges. Not because things always are going up. That's what, check out your eggs in the grocery store. But
right?
Yeah.
It's so expensive now.
But what's the range of something like that? Because you have some pieces that are, more than $500 on the site. So I want people to know, don't just think that you're going to call for a custom order and because it's Africa, it's going to, I can get it for $20.
Exactly. Do not come in here saying it's Africa, it should be cheap. Give it to me for $10 and then ship it to me for free and get it here in 3 days. Because that is not going to happen. It is Africa. It's handmade. We have to get the cowries. We got to clean it. We got to sew each piece on. You got to get the fabric. and it's a team. A Cuba piece is made by Cuba artisans who are male. And there's a whole process. You got to get permission from the chief. You don't just say, make me this. There's a whole process. So your custom piece will take 4 to 5 weeks. And we have to see the cost of the materials. Like you said, eggs are so expensive right now. Materials change. And if I put diamonds in it, it depends on what diamonds cost at the moment, right? If I get it from an artisanal miner, because after a really crazy rain in my village, it might be a little bit lower as opposed to having to buy it, clean it in Israel or Canada, and then put it in your hat. So there is a range. We would work with you. We can tweak designs, but this will cost you like at least $1,500 to $2,000 starting, and depending how big your head is.
And I heard somebody just say, you know, in the audience, I can hear them sometimes, but I can go to the village and get that. Then you need to go to the village and go get that, if you can do that. But for those of you can't, now you got the cost and the fee. When you first created this, how much support did you have? Because I'm sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, people said it's going to be too hard to work with people, you know, back home. It's going to be too hard to get this and get that and keep it in stock. But you tell us your story, like when you said, I'm going to create this thing. And did you bootstrap it or did you have investors? Give us that process, please.
So I didn't do investors because as an African, I wanted to be able to work with the people one-on-one and manage how I worked with them. When you have a private equity firm or a bunch of investors, you are beholden to what they say and do. And if the goal is to teach people how to make things better, to be able to provide them a better lifestyle and pay them more so they can support their kids, send kids to school, you know, get clean, basic needs, then you really can't do that through investors because they just look at the bottom line and there's no time to teach, right? There's no onboarding process. And so this is self-funded. I had lots of naysayers. Why would you want to do that? Why don't you just make it in China, ship it out? You make more money. Just, you know, do joggers with your name on it and put princess this. And that's not what I wanted to do. I find this business, not only do you get something beautiful, but it's a service to the people of Africa, right? We work in 9 countries right now. And there is a beauty in working in different villages and seeing how people express themselves creatively. And how one thing, like we might use the same material, is done completely different. And this history and the beauty behind it. It's basically the story of Black people and our migration. It's so interesting. And as a historian, I love that. And I was willing to lose money for a set period of time, not forever, right? That set period of time to set it up, do it right with the long-term goal and with the long-term forecast. And so people were just like, you're going to lose money. I was lucky enough to have 2 of my cousins, male cousins, very supportive. As you know, some places in Africa, you need men to negotiate for you. It's just the rules. So they would go for me or they would accompany me. I never travel by myself. I always have a cousin that's there with me to help me. And so I've been really lucky in that aspect. And the biggest supporters for the business have been strangers. It's the random people on Instagram. They become an Instagram friend and they start sending it to other people and ordering, sending you emails. You're like, wow, you're really invested in this. So even if your close circle doesn't believe in you, there's other people that will believe in you and will push you through and guide you, especially when you start hitting the hard times. Those people will motivate you. So just keep going. Don't have a plan and just go for it.
That is awesome. That is awesome to hear because it gives people kind of that blueprint, even when you're talking about, you know, having males. And I always ask people, you know, who do you see who has a big dream that doesn't have a team? So whatever team members you need, and you've worked in and still working, it looks like real estate development. You need teams to make dreams. There's doors that some people can help you get through that are more difficult. Sometimes people, you know, if you have a team of like LeBron's team, people, hey, who is this? People Absolutely. Actually got to organize to come together versus you coming in yourself looking like, you know, I can name.
Yeah, you can't do anything by yourself. What's that famous African proverbs, like want something to go further. You can't do anything by yourself, and you can't have a successful business by yourself. There's just no way.
Yeah, want to go fast, something go by yourself, want to go
Yeah.
far,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and it's something that in this country of the divided snakes of America, the community, you know, Black from every place in the world, it's like somehow it's just focused on yourself. America is so just, it's me, 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 me.
Yeah.
You're in New York. I mean, do you even know your neighbors?
Nope.
You know.
I mind my own business. I don't know who lives in upstate right now, but in Manhattan, I don't know who lives on my floor. I know my doorman, and that's it.
Versus being back home, and you know your neighbor. Sometimes you know your neighbors because you hear the knock every day and somebody needs something, but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I know the guys at the airport who takes my bags. I know when I have to do my passport, who to talk to. I know I have Fidel to get me my, like, I know the whole process. But here, it's like, what? Don't talk to me, keep going. But it's not the culture here, right? Here it's put your head down, mind your own business, make a lot of money, and hoard it for yourself. It's not a sharing community.
Yeah, and oh, that's so draining. Just when you say it like that, somebody book my ticket.
Right, time to go home.
Yeah. Now, with fashion, sometimes people get into fashion because they say, well, I saw Russell Simmons when I was growing up, and I saw what he did, and I wanted to be at the fashion shows. Have your product been in fashion shows? Are you sitting front row and, looking very stern? I love being at fashion shows and just seeing how the regular audience versus like the designers, and just, it's like that guy's a designer, that woman's a designer. Give us the game. I was at the last Nairobi fashion week.
Yeah, those are fun. See, the African fashion shows are so much different than the American and the French. Like here, we just try to be so cool, and like we overdo it. We're like, soon it'll be September, so everybody has their pieces made. They'll act like they just put something together. You walk up and down Spring Street, right? Like 4 or 5 times a day, even if you don't have a ticket, and just try and get a woman's wear daily or a style killer or something. Yet when you do like Nairobi Fashion Week or Kinshasa Fashion Week or South Africa, it's a whole experience. First of all, just that you're on the continent, everyone's like, who are you? Want to be my friend? Oh, I'm going to come here. Are you going to be there? And you make connections so much faster. And then you realize, oh, this person knows Olivier because he's African from Beaumont. Oh, this person knows the head accessory designer, Chanel. Get him to come to Dakar and do Chanel show in Senegal. And it's a better networking experience for Black people. But you have to come on the continent. You just can't go to Ghana, and you just can't go to Nigeria. You got to spread it around, right? And network legitimately. And people are ready to help. Like Benin, where Tsunami's from, they're known for their tailoring. They have the best fabrics. You're into textiles, you're into tailoring, go to Benin. They have Beach Week, there's just so much opportunity. And it's like a concert experience. You have the show, you dance, you eat, you party, you make friends that you'll be friends with forever. And they're truly a strong support system. It's not like here, right? Here it's like, let me get press, make sure I show up here and there and get this 5 things, post it on my Instagram story so it disappears, so I don't look thirsty. And then you're done, right? It's a whole different experience. So if you're in fashion or in design, contact us, find other African designers. We're happy to bring you home and teach you the ropes, because fashion comes from Africa. We are the original influencers, especially Congolese people, sorry to say. We are the Sapels, the Sapology. We have a whole religion based on fashion and the way you wear your clothes and being clean. And we have a whole religion. Forget, all the other stuff. Fashion is our religion. So come on over here if you want to network.
And you guys can see documentaries on it. You know,
Oh,
Vice and
yeah.
other BBC have all done, you know, documentaries on the fashion, you know, there. So yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna try to battle you with that at all. This ain't the, you know, you guys can battle over jollof rice and which country this and that.
Yeah,
But
we're not in that race. But for
yeah.
fashion, call us, you know.
Now, you know, how do you divide your time doing real estate development and then doing fashion? Because I mean, two places, cool places to be in, big money places to be in, where, you know, you're constantly meeting people, and you have the vibe, you have the product that I'm sure you get to do a lot of fly things. Like, how do you divide your time on what you want to do? Because, you know, online, everybody is a philanthropist, an investor, a mogul, a tycoon, and then I see them and I'm saying, wait, you haven't even woken up before noon, and you don't have one employee or one team member. How are you doing all this allegedly? So tell the people how you divide your time.
So I hate those fake CEO founders, so busy, but yet they're like in Jamaica every week and they have, I don't know how, if you're not an influencer and you actually run a real business, how you can consistently post yourself 7 days a week. But yeah, so don't listen to those people. When you run several businesses or you have several projects that time management is key. I have an office in Kinshasa, and I have my main assistant there that handles all my Africa business. So my calendar, my communications, my emails, my travel, right? Then I have the America team, and that's separated. And then I partnered with a really good friend of mine, Rob Pearson, on all my Africa development projects. He does a lot of stuff with Kenya and tons of projects in the Middle East. And I have projects in French speaking or Swahili speaking countries. So we put our teams together on that. So you really learn to delegate, manage, and give certain people set responsibilities, right? Because I can't handle my calendar by myself. I handle my daughter's calendar because I'm a mom. So, you know, she has a horse show, she has this. I put that together. But business-wise, she checks this inbox, you check this inbox, I check this inbox. We have a talk, we strategize for the week. I have weekly team meetings with everyone, the nonprofit people, the fashion people, the development, the Congo development people, the farming people, the Kenyan. So you kind of just get on a rhythm and you push your team members to do better and to create better work product. So that way you're not staying up all night, fixing grammar, adding numbers, and so you got to invest in your people and teach them how to work and how to do the best so that you can just go and sell, right? Close the deal and be able to read up on something for 2 days and then go, to President, whoever, Ruto, be like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this city. Here's my project. Here's the financing. And you're done, instead of trying to do everything yourself. And you also won't see me posting because I'll be reading and trying to find other opportunities. Because you might pitch 10 projects and not get any, but like the 15th is, will cover your expenses for 3 years. So you just kind of have to know how to push people to do the work that you need.
I said, and you probably took it in jest earlier about, the book, but there's somebody listening right now saying, how does she do all of this travel? And she says she has a daughter. I just, they're trying to just get it together just with that part, the daughter and the 9 to 5, and then figuring out how they're going to finance their dreams. So many people struggle with that. I think, I won't tell you what I think because it won't be as good as your answer, and it won't be as kind as your answer. But how do you do that? And do you have any plans, any drafts of the book so people can, capture what you've already done?
So my friend Jonathan, he's a professor at MIT, always tells me that I need to write a book. We actually have a call on Tuesday. And I know he's going to bring it up I'm on the board for his project, the Linda Project. It's the first African-owned volcano research company. So they're able to control Kivu. It's very interesting. And so I keep getting these prompts to do it. I don't know yet. It's something that I thought about. I'll have to plan it out. But if you're a mom and you want to own your own, moms are the best at managing things, right? You're going to be tired. If you have a kid under 5, I find it very hard to really push the other side, the working side, especially if you don't have help. Like I had no help. Like I said, I'm orphaned, and I had to, work and get a nanny and all that stuff. But once they're in school, let's have a regular school schedule, right? You can try and carve out 2 hours every day to just work on your personal project. And I know things are expensive. I went to the grocery store, it cost me $15 for eggs and orange juice. I was shocked. But you have to still live below your means and put money aside on an account that you never look at. You already have your emergency account, but a business, my dream account, and you just invest in yourself, right? And you work on your project and you try to do things carefully because you're a mom, but just put that aside, and you never know. You might have an idea and think, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell necklaces for the next 5 years. And then 3 years down the line, you have this fund and you're like, you know what? I want to farm. I know eggs are expensive. I'm going to buy 10 acres in Nigeria and start an egg farm. And before you know it, 5 years, you've made so much money, but you've been planning, you are disciplined, and you have money to do it. So that's really the only way. There's no, like, I'm going to win the lotto and then do all this. You have to plan it. You have to make small moves to get to the ultimate goal.
I love it. And, she said, Mom, what you don't know is I raised my children for the first 10 years because my wife was in residency and then, med school to residency. We've known each other forever. But a lot of dads follow me. So I have to make sure I say, and the dads who are raising the kids, who are doing everything while women are able to go live their dream and you don't even make one complaint. I wish that was the
and that's called true partnership, right? You take one for the team, because it's impossible. And I know this is controversial, but it's impossible as parents to have both people, like bossing it, like killing it and working, because then the kids get forgotten. Somebody has to take a back seat for a little bit while the other person chase their dreams. And then once the kids are in school is a lifesaver. They're in school at least 180 days for 8 hours. You do what you have to do, you do your chores, whatever. You have 4 hours of solid work time. You get a break, pick them up, and then you do what you have to do. And then you put them to bed, you answer emails, and you keep planning. And it just those little habits too. That's how you build champions. My brother is an NFL coach, and he always tells his players, it's like habits. Difference between a winner and a loser is habits, right? Trying, failing, keep going. Building positive, good work habits.
I love it. And it's so true. People will want to know. One, they're going to want to know, say that name of that Black-owned volcano company again, please.
It's called the Linda Project, Linda, Linda in Swahili, but it's now a common American name. And they work with the volcano in Eastern Congo near Goma, which exploded 2 years ago. And they are in charge of all the data, and they can track it. They can keep people safe. It was owned by the Belge, even though the Belge left in the 1960s, and they refused to give the data to the government. And Professor Jonathan Isol created this company and basically took back our data, took back our information in order to help the people of the DRC. It's quite amazing. So look it up, the Linda Project. I know they're in the process of raising money to get some machines and drones to keep a better eye on it. It's really quite interesting. All this stuff, like colonial people have left, but certain things they just don't want to give up. And it's up to us in the diaspora to come back and say, nope, this is our solution. This is how we're going to solve this problem. And we're going to truly be free.
I love it. And, you know, there's so many people with clients. We've been able to bring over 90 people to Africa using their, you know, big YouTube influencer audiences. And you always see the standard response, people crying, people happy, people not wanting to go back. But it's the difficult and next phase is people staying. And more people are staying in places like Ghana and South Africa. But the DRC, y'all have, you know, some building going on out there. I don't want to blame or give all the credit to China, you know, but let's talk about what you're seeing in the DRC, because in English, no, my French is terrible. It's non-existent. My wife says, she's from Cameroon. She's like, how did you get around? I said, I've been around the world not knowing how to, you know, I can get around. Even I'm kind of like you. I'll start speaking Mandarin at a elementary level if need be. But
yeah, ni hao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watch the shows, you know, the kids shows, especially.
Yeah.
But tell us what you're seeing in the DRC and, you know, the improvements. I always like talking about the best of Africa. You guys can go anywhere else to hear.
Absolutely. And as an African, I always say, with my business, you'll never see the bad side because I don't show the bad side of America. So I don't know why I need to be like, oh, look, this is so dirty. Oh, there's no electricity. You're not, you know, my house upstate, I have to have a generator and sometimes the power goes out, but you don't hear about no power, you know, in upstate New York. We have power go out in New York City. You know, I live on Fifth Avenue. Like, things happen. So the DRC, I didn't go home for a very long time because I'm not going to name the ex-dictator was there. And because my dad was in politics and all the stuff that happened, I didn't go home for almost 30 years. I went back home for the first time in 2019. Talk about crying. When I left, Kinshasa used to be called Kinshasa La Belle, the beautiful Kinshasa. It was like the California of Africa, right? If you want to put it into states. We had the fashion, the music. Mobutu had the retour de authenticité, return to your authentic self. Everybody had to have African names. Like you can't be African and be named, you know, Jean-Claude or Joseph. You had to have an African name. And then coming back after 18 years of a dictator and all this other stuff, and to see the country fall apart killed me. Now, 4 years later, you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Why are all these French and Belgians living here now? Why are all these Chinese here? The Lebanese are building this. And I have a group on WhatsApp called the Congolese American Group. I think there used to be 76 of us. Out of the 76, 42 now live home full time. And they're printing money. They're like, just come live here 6 months. You'll make more money than you do in America. The opportunity is so crazy. And the sad thing is with the American side is because we're not Ghana and Nigeria, we're not Anglophone, Congo gets ignored. So you're missing out. We have diamonds, cobalt, coltan, you know, self-charging minerals, copper, gold, the biggest landmass for carbon credits and agriculture. We're the size of Eastern Europe, and the opportunities are just amazing. Eastern Congo, we still have, you know, the war with Rwanda over minerals and stuff, but the majority of the country is so safe. And people are building cities, they're building towns, they're buying large swaths of land and getting carbon credits, you know, from Delta and Air France and all these. And so when you go home, you just see everybody driving G-Wagons and like having apartments in Paris and like palatial homes. I said, it's shocking. It's shocking how much things have changed. And there's a lot of projects coming up for more development. There's an Inga Dam project, which can power all of sub-Saharan Africa through the Congo River. And so it's really, it's Africa's where it's at. You know, we're coming into recession here in America. It's tougher and tougher to make money. If you want to make money, you go back home. Use your roots, have your ancestors guide you home. That's where the money is, really.
And do you have, and this is my signature question wrapped into putting just more work and more pressure on you. You know, I always ask people, what is their community give back that they're doing or that they'd like to do in the future? But in wrapping that question, I also want to know, are there any opportunities that you help those in the diaspora say, you know, here's an opportunity. If you put your money towards this, this should work. Like right now, if you put your money towards trees in Kenya, in 10 years, you know, you may have close to $1 million or more because trees are needed, depending on your space, of course. Don't quote me on if I go buy some trees,
Yeah.
I'll be a millionaire in 10 years. But, you know, what is your community give back that you're doing or that you like to do? And also that, you know, do you have any plans on helping those invest in DRC and get out of Babylon?
So, so Rob and I, we're going to do an ESG fund. And one of the projects is agriculture. I have 100 acres in Maluku, which is just outside of Kinshasa. And trees are one of the aspects of the 100 acres. Bamboo trees, because they regenerate quickly. You can use that for carbon credits. You can use it for building. It's not going to cause environmental issues for the neighboring tribes. So that's a project. We have some real estate development projects that we're putting together. We have some mining projects that we're putting together. It's going to go into this fund. We will find a way to make it available to more people in the diaspora. But, you know, you got to have the credit. You have to have assets and you have to have cash. So I don't care if you have 5 million TikTok followers. If you have no money, you're not going to make it. Like, I don't need you to be like, oh, hey, we have this new ESG fund. Do you know what that means? Join Adolophine. No, that I don't care about those. I need cash. And you would get dividends and you would get your capital back within 7 years and you'd make a profit. So it's in the works. It will be registered in Mauritius. So all the documents will be set up perfectly, good to go, working on it, should be done soon. Community give back, I have a foundation, like I said, Les Amis de Mulunda and Georgette. Mulunda was my sister that passed away when she was 3. Georgette's the name of my mom and daughter. And we've taken over 4 orphanages, kind of like VCs do it, venture capitalists. You take over a company, you fix it, clean it up, you train them, we fix the space, teach them about nutrition, get the kids organized, get them in school. And now the kids are getting older and older. So this farm in Maluku will be one of the aspects that we'll be using to get them job training. And we're working on a project to get an AI program. I'm working with this guy from the diaspora in Denver, Pichu, who's helping me create an AI program to teach them about minerals that we have, like cobalt, and how to sell it, what it is and why it's causing the war, how you can use it to support yourself and make money, how to become a broker, how to broker those deals. So we're working on that as well. And then I have a hospital that we're building in my village. Right now, people have to walk 14, 15 hours for basic care, for wound care. So we're raising capital for that. I have an event in September during the General Assembly, UN General Assembly, and an event in October to raise $200,000 to build this. The documents are almost done in the Congo. We have a really well-known doctor in the Congo helping me, mentoring me, guiding me, because I'm not your wife, you know, I'm not in medicine. And so you need that clinical eye to kind of help you. And then we have the business side working on that as well. So there's a lot of give back. There's lots of opportunities. If people want to get access to the Congo, I have that. You know, most Black Americans are Congolese. I know they want to be Ghanaian, but like you probably came from the Congo Kingdom, so you're my cousins. If you want to come back home, there's ways. We're happy to bring you back. We're happy to give you projects and ways to reconnect back home. So there's so many opportunities there.
Yes, and you say that, and the people want to be from Ghana or Nigeria, depending if they see Burner Boy or if they see,
WizKid. Yeah.
whomever. But what we do know, so we don't get into cultural wars, we're Bantu people. Most of y'all
Yes, we're Bantu
are,
people. But no,
yeah.
but seriously though, we're mostly from, unfortunately, right? The Congo Kingdom consists of Gabon, Togo, the small Congo, the DRC, Angola. Mostly from there, right? A lot of Brazilians are Congolese, but everybody else is from the Congo Kingdom. Not a lot of people got shipped from West Africa like they did from Central. So when people do their, like, who was a famous person? She was like 32% Cameroonese and like 5% Nigerian. She's like, I'm Nigerian. I was like, no, you're Cameroonese. Like, you're from Cameroon. Like, go to Cameroon. It's 32 as opposed to 5. So, and I think it's the language barrier that's the problem. And it's not. Most people speak English everywhere these days. So don't let that be a reason why you don't visit, where you're from.
We always have to remember these borders are not ours. You got, you go to Limbe in Cameroon, you'll love it if you don't speak French. But again, you guys want to adapt when you travel somewhere, because you're going to hear the official languages, of the place, and you're going to want to adapt and at least be able to do pidgin. Plus,
we don't speak proper French anyways. We mix it up with like everything, like we mix words from Ivory Coast, Cameroon, South Africa. It's all mixed up. It's a Bantu language. So just come and enjoy it and experience it and just be back on the continent. And the air feels different. It's nice not to be a minority. People are just so happy to see you wherever you're from. I'm not from Ghana. When I go there, people are like, oh, here comes, it's so much fun. It's the best experience you'll have. It's a spiritual experience. So go back home.
How do you deal with not coming back home and then going to different countries where, like you just said, you're not from there, but you're from, the continent. So you're going to treat me accordingly, not being, I guess, a colonizer, because I've heard this from both sides. My people that I work with in Africa, they say, Kellen, you're right. It's like they're trying to colonize us. And these are Black people versus the Black people saying, I'm going there just the same way I would go to China, so I don't have to pay such a high fee that I would pay in America. Like, how do you play that balance? Because sometimes people get guilty. And my job a lot of times is to be the mediator and say, let's find out a plan that works for everybody. Because you're not going to, how do you deal with that?
There's this lady, I forget her name. She lives in Washington State. She did this poem called The In-Betweeners. And she says the in-betweeners, we are the peacemakers and the bridge. So like you said, I think she was half Mozambican and half Namibian living in America. She was like 5. So when she goes back home, like Namibia, they're like, oh, you're American now. But in America, she's not American, she's African, right? So she kind of like doesn't fit anywhere. So she's in betweener. And I feel like that is a term that Americans or like if I go to Namibia, you have to adopt, you have to become an in-betweener. You can't go there with your American ways and your American sensibilities and entitlement and say, okay, I'm here. The power went out and I need to do this. Like, you just have to learn to adapt in a way that is respectful to where you are, because you're not going to go to China and act like that. You're not going to go to Moscow and act like that. You're not going to go to Spain and act like that. So don't come on the continent, right, and say these terrible things about us. Like, I recently saw these girls at the castle in Ghana twerking for the ancestors. Would you ever do that at a Buddhist temple? No, right? There is a responsibility that you must have in the images that you show back to the rest of the world about Black people and Black culture. So I think that's number one. Number two, go there with an open mind. There's 57 countries. If you have a bad experience in one city, that doesn't mean all of Africa is terrible, right? There's 57 countries. Try it out. It's an amuse-bouche. You might like Paris, you might not like Provence. You might like Accra, you might not like Joburg, right? Just try it out. That's all.
And that twerking, I can't even, because if they would have said, hey, we're doing Mapuka, I would have maybe put a little more respect on it.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't Mapuka. They said twerking for the ancestors.
Yeah.
And they got killed online. And it was at a point of no return. How can you do that? You know, like, it's not funny.
But I want to go to the, like, when it comes to negotiations, because again, you know, even you, and I'm sure this has happened with you, because I've seen it happen to my wife, who spent, you know, her first 18 years growing up in Cameroon and a little bit in Senegal. But it's like, why are you taking our art? You know, that was the thing, because they wanted a bribe when you're leaving. It's like, this is my home. And when people are negotiating, of course, in the market especially, people are trying to get the lowest price. But when I say Black Americans come and they nickel and dime, you know, consultants and people that they want to work for them just because they know, oh, well, this is the going rate. My thing is, try to pay people more so they can work better for you as much as you can, right? Nobody has a money tree. But if they do have a money tree, let me know where it's at. Let me know where the
for real. I'm trying to find that.
Yeah.
I called the juju doctor the other day. I'm like, is there a money tree that I've missed somewhere in the village that I can, you know, get access to?
Yeah, but how do you pay your people fairly without also them also not taking advantage of you, because they're saying, hold on, I can tell by, you know, your makeup, your clothes, your whatever, that you're living good in America.
So there's funny stories. Like, I don't really wear makeup, but so when I go to the market, I'm dressed appropriately, and everyone's like, oh, you have good skin. You must wear sunblock and something. So I'm going to charge you more. So I don't take it as an insult. It's part of the culture. You just know, like, if somebody says like something is 10,000 shillings in Kenya, it's really, you divide it by 3 or 5, depending on if they saw you face to face or if it's on the phone, right? You just divide it by 5 and then you negotiate. It's the culture. It's not an insult. I personally, because I'm in the market a lot, I get frustrated. I get angry because I'm there a lot and they know me by a certain point. They go, oh, you're my client, you're my client. I'm giving you a good price. I'm like, give me the last price. And after you give me your last price, I'm going to give you the real price. And if you don't like it, you walk away, right? So that's negotiation. Just like when you negotiate a salary here, you're applying for jobs, you negotiate. You don't like what they offer you, you walk away. Somebody else will offer you what you think you deserve. Now, don't be unrealistic, right? If you have 5 years experience, you want to get paid $250, that's not going to happen. Same thing with my team. I have a team in Kinshasa and I have a team in Buji-Mayi. And the cost of living there is different, right? Kinshasa is a capital. It's very expensive. They use dollars instead of franc congolais, as opposed to Buji-Mayi where they use franc congolais. So somebody working in the Kinshasa office will have to get paid more to have the same quality of life as somebody else in the village. I look at their experience. I try everybody out for 6 months. I don't give them a contract. You have a period d'essai where you work for me and I see your work product. And if I feel like you're a little bit more experienced, you're more serious, you get a higher salary. Everybody gets a review every 6 months. I give them Christmas money. And you just try to do it in a way that if you were living here, would you be able to live comfortably? Because you don't want your employees to suffer. Because if they start suffering, oh, I can't pay rent this year, or I got malaria and I don't have money for treatment for malaria, I can't come in. Guess who suffers? You do. So just try and find a happy medium. And don't give too much, because then they'll just, start going to the Fali Pupa concert all the time and not work. So you have to find a happy medium.
And also with finding a happy medium, because somebody, when they heard you say 57 countries, are going to say, that's not what ChatGPT said, and that's not what Bard said, because you have certain people who will count a country that's about to happen. I know in Cameroon, Amazonia is going to say, hold on, are you counting us? But that's, again, we'll find a happy medium, whether you believe in 54, 57, 59, and growing.
I am doing the diplomatic answer. Just like, America does not recognize Taiwan. If you asked me if Taiwan was a country, I would say yes, because I have Taiwanese friends. If you told me if the Chinese annexed Tibet, is that part of China? I would say Tibet is its own entity. So as someone that's been colonized, I am all about people's independence. Lesotho, Swaziland, South Sudan, Sao Tome and Principe, 57 for me. You want to have 54? I have 57. That's the diplomatic answer.
I got you. I got you. It's so much that's going on, and I can't give people too much because they can't contain it. Everybody has ADHD.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but I'd love to do this again. If you're ever in South Florida, we can do it even in studio. But I want to know, and you let people know any last words, where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, your YouTube, that's to come. Yeah, I'm putting more pressure. I got more pressure. God.
I don't know how you do this. It's so hard. People think it's just, you grab a mic and you just, it is. And I'm also socially awkward. So I find it really difficult to do. We did a YouTube series called Adolophine in Africa about planning for a gala. And to shoot that, it took me 5 months after the trip because I didn't want to do it. I was like, nobody's interested in what I have to say. So I give you mad props for doing this. It's really hard to put yourself out there, to give people advice, to keep the energy and really it's a skill set. And everybody wants to be a journalist or podcaster. That's something you have to work on. And it's not easy. So personally, I don't know. And I'm also a little bit aggressive, especially when it comes to advice. I'm like, I told you to do this, you do, So I don't know how that would work, but I'd be happy to come back on as a guest. You can follow me at Adolophine on all the platforms, Instagram, we're on TikTok. I still am trying to figure out TikTok. We're on YouTube as Adolophine, Facebook. And then my foundation, where the team's going to work more on content to show you what we're doing with the kids. They're going to be on YouTube as well as Les Amis de Munda and Georgette. You can find that information on the Adolophine pages as well. So yeah, and on our website, adolophine.com.
You guys have got the game. And check out all those sites. Links will be in the description. Even that YouTube that she said, you can go put in the name, you'll see it. And I'm gonna take the next few minutes that I have with her and see if I can convince her to be more consistent on YouTube and why. That part is off air, so you guys make sure you like, share, subscribe, share it with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand or 10,000 Kenyan shillings or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from KELLEN Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.